Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Wong, Regional Vice President, and I lead our early innovation partnering team for Johnson & Johnson Innovation Asia Pacific. And I'm delighted to be here and see a number of familiar faces, various entrepreneurs, and new faces here as well. Today, I'm going to share with you how Johnson & Johnson Innovation aims to accelerate innovation and growth through our open innovation platform, and how we aim to tackle some of the biggest healthcare challenges. I am also joined online by Sharon Chan, head of our J&J Innovation JLabs Asia Pacific, and together we'll provide a brief introduction to Johnson & Johnson's family of companies and the work we do here at JJI. For more than 130 years, J&J has been combining heart, science, and ingenuity to profoundly change the trajectory of health. Our business operates across three business segments: pharmaceuticals, medtech, and consumer health. We're in more than 175 countries, leveraging more than 250 operating companies, and we have more than 130 employees worldwide with expertise in R&D, commercial, sales, manufacturing, supply chain, etc. And you may be asking why this is important. The primary reason is that we want to enable sort of the global commercialization, the global development of your innovations. At Johnson & Johnson, we believe we all need partners, partnerships, collaborations. And at Johnson & Johnson Innovation, we have created a business model that we believe brings both sides together of the equation in a very efficient manner. Through our regional teams, our experienced colleagues help life science startups by offering flexible, customized partnership models and collaboration structures. We provide early stage incubation, startup services, and mentorship. And finally, we provide venture capital investment. Because J&J believes an idea can come from anywhere around the globe, through our Johnson & Johnson Innovation Network, we have embedded ourselves in innovation hotspots around the globe: Shanghai, Boston, London, San Francisco, where we deeply and actively participate in these ecosystems. And as you can see on the far right, we have offices in Shanghai, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, Australia, and Hong Kong. When we think about partnerships between startups and Johnson & Johnson, we believe a collaborative approach is critical. Our aim is to collaborate, to co-create at early stages of innovation with passionate entrepreneurs, scientists, and academics, bringing together both J&J's scientific and commercial knowledge to help guide the development process. And together with our flexible structures, funding, investment, and incubation, our JJI model aims to accelerate the innovation by enabling access to different ingredients for potential success. A key part of our strategy is identifying the areas of significant unmet need and the need for investment in innovation to help drive meaningful change. This slide broadly highlights the key areas of interest across our pharma, medtech, and consumer sectors that we focus on. You'll also see that we seek integrated healthcare solutions, which are cross-sector opportunities that span all three of our business segments. In Asia, we have built a strong foundation for strategic collaboration and continue to establish more meaningful collaborations and partnerships to help nurture the local life science ecosystem. This is a snapshot of our publicly announced collaborations in Asia Pacific over the past couple years. I'd like to now hand it over to Sharon, who will share a little bit about our J&J Innovation JLabs incubators. Sharon?
Thanks, Andrew. Next slide, please. Thank you. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Sharon Chan, head of Johnson & Johnson Innovation, JLabs Asia Pacific, and a pleasure to join you online. As Andrew mentioned, A key part of our capabilities includes our JLabs Global Incubator Network, through which we provide early-stage innovators with access to capital-efficient lab space and resources. Next slide, please. We understand that bringing a product to market isn't easy, and we believe all startups across the world face more or less the same challenges and obstacles in developing their breakthrough solution and bringing it to market. So really, in order to transform an idea from concept to a commercially viable healthcare solution, there needs to be financial resources, facilities, and expertise in regulatory policy and commercialization. And it's through our 11 JLabs and 2 JPod facilities around the world that we aim to support the incubation, growth and optimization of R&D through a comprehensive model that really provides entrepreneurs and startups with access to mentorship, community, industry connections, and entrepreneurial programs. So regardless of where the company is based or the region they're trying to enter, we really aim to help set entrepreneurs up for success by allowing our innovators to focus on making the right connections, getting the resources they need, and the infrastructure required to succeed. Next slide, please. At JLabs at Shanghai, the largest out of our global network, we're proud to have supported 71 companies since we first opened our doors back in June 2019. And as the first JLabs incubator in Asia Pacific, our portfolio represents diversity, as 48% of companies come from mainland China and 52% from the rest of the world. And this year alone, we've welcomed companies from China, Hong Kong, Korea, Canada, and India. We also celebrate diversity across the areas of focus, with 39 companies working on farm, 22 on medical devices, and 10 in consumer health, and 12 of these are working on cross-sector solutions. Of all the companies we've supported through JLabs at Shanghai, 71 and counting, they have gone on to raise over an amazing $3.5 billion in financing and strategic relationships, secured and contingent, and we have no doubt this number will increase over this year. Next slide, please. We provide more than just a combination of shared and private lab and office spaces, equipment, value-added solutions, operational support, education, and business services. We provide access to an ecosystem that could help transform ideas from concept to reality. And we allow our resident companies to maintain complete entrepreneurial freedom thanks to our no strings attached approach that allows early stage company residents to focus on scientific innovation, yet retain their intellectual property unless they choose otherwise. We're here to help them make connections and be partner ready. We want our entrepreneurs to be allowed to make go, no-go decisions sooner. And ultimately, we want to give startups and investors a better bottom line. Next slide, please. So if you'd like to find out more about the work we're doing through Johnson & Johnson Innovation, you can use the links on the screen to follow us here through a number of channels. And that's all from our quick presentation, as we now move on to hear about the experiences of some of our JLabs at Shanghai resident companies. Andrew will also be joining this session to share his insights from a Johnson & Johnson innovation angle. So let's begin by introducing our panelists with us today. Next slide, please. I'm really pleased to be here today to be joined by our CEOs both virtually and on the stage. Please kindly take your seats on stage, and for those online, please turn on your video. Shu-Tin Hui, CEO of Acaderma. Sloan Kulper, CEO of Lifespans Limited. Yu Yu, co-founder and CEO and CSO of Pleyron. And of course, Andrew Wong, who you've already met as our Regional Vice President for Early Innovation Partnering at Johnson & Johnson Innovation, Asia Pacific. We'll be diving into a number of topics today with a particular focus on China's Greater Bay Area and the opportunity for healthcare innovation here. And we'll also be looking at their individual journeys as entrepreneurs and how collaboration has really helped them on the way to developing important healthcare potential solutions. So before we kick off the discussion, I'd like to also let our audience members know that they are free to ask questions at any time on site or online via the Q&A box. And we'll do our best to get to you get those questions to you as many as possible. With that, let's dive into the discussion. Good morning, panelists and those online. Again, to give our audience some background information about each of you and your companies, I am going to begin with some introductory questions. Shootin, welcome. Let's come to you first. What was the idea behind Acaderma and where did it all start?
Actually, the name of Acaderma comes from two words, academia and dermatology. So during my PhD and postdoc research in the University of Hong Kong, we studied skin biology and discover novel active ingredients from natural source to solve different types of skin problems. And however, after I finished my postdoc research, I was thinking, is there anything else we left in addition to a full trail of publications, scientific publications? So is there anything we can do to bring real impact to the industry to help our consumers solve their skincare demands? Yeah, so it is a tough decision, so I declined several faculty position offers and decided to be an entrepreneur instead, hoping to bring the latest and breakthrough technologies from academia to the beauty industry and solve our skin problems for beauty consumers.
Thank you, Shootin. Wonderful. A great idea can come from anywhere, and it's really great to have you as part of JLabs at Shanghai. Yu, let's come to you next. What was the big idea behind Pleyron?
Thanks, Sharon. And it's great to be joining the panel discussion today. I actually had my university education from HKUST, so it's great to be part of the summit. And I hope I can soon visit Hong Kong in person again. So Pleyron is a company that developed a new therapeutics based on innovative drug delivery and polymer-based technology. Because we see in recent years that drug delivery and polymer technology is becoming an important and integrated part of new drug development. I think a prime example would be the mRNA vaccine. And Pleyron, in our company, we have multiple platform technologies that can help us to develop a variety of products for different indications. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you, Yu. Very impressive. And it's been great getting to know more about you and your company. Alex, let's turn to you next. Thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us what led to you forming Insilico Medicine?
Sure. When we started, and I met Alex, our CEO, over 13 years ago, we were very focused on the area of pediatric oncology and actually invented a few methods and algorithms for precision oncology treatment. At that time, around 2013 and 14, that coincided with deep learning revolution. So everyone was finding new applications and applications that are far more powerful than before. And Alex, given his background in GPU computing, immediately saw this opportunity, and we combined this with our experience in bioinformatics and started applying deep learning to target discovery and biomarker discovery across therapeutic areas. And then we went on to apply generative models beyond biology. We added chemistry and went into generative chemistry field. And I believe we were first to publish a peer-reviewed paper in this area, and also in analytics, where we added the clinical development component and analytics to our pipeline. So overall, we envision the AI revolution fueling those innovation and bringing together the data, high throughput data component and ideation from bioinformatics, biology, and chemistry to augment traditional drug discovery cycle and make it more efficient.
Great, thank you, Alex. We remember back when Insilico first joined JLabs at Shanghai, and the company has certainly made huge leaps and bounds since then. Thank you. Sloan, moving on to you now. Can you tell us how Lifespans came about, and what has been your most rewarding experience so far leading a startup?
Thanks, Sharon. Like some of the companies that we've been talking to so far, Lifespans is also a university spin-out where we come from the University of Hong Kong Faculty of Medicine in the Department of Orthopedics. And the real origin of this idea is coming from the experience of the surgeons treating elderly patients for bone fractures, so fractures of, say, the hip, shoulder, and spine. Hong Kong is quite special in that you have simultaneously a very elderly population, but a really excellent healthcare system that is meeting a lot of their needs. And so you could say that they're at the forefront of treatment for bone fractures for the elderly. Even them, with all of their availability of the best technology in the world, they still saw fundamental deficiencies in some of the treatment for elderly patients with bone tissue that is getting weaker and softer with age. So Lifespans really comes from observing from the perch of Hong Kong this issue that will become more and more common throughout the world as people live longer and as we run up against the limits of the previous generations of implant technology.
Thank you, Sloan. Lifespans has been doing great work. A sincere thank you for taking us along your journey as well.
Thank you.
Andrew, coming to you now. We've already heard about the work you're doing through Johnson & Johnson Innovation, but what actually led you to this role, and what's your background?
Thanks, Sharon. What brought me to this role? Well, I believe the Johnson & Johnson business model is something that resonated with me quite strongly. I think it's a very effective, very efficient approach. Having worked and been involved with a number of small and medium-sized life science companies in the past, the business model really resonated for me. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned earlier, the access to expertise in R&D, commercial, supply chain manufacturing, or the like, the solid reputation of J&J and that mentorship that's available, and finally the resources that are available to really maximize and accelerate an innovation on a global basis is something that I think entrepreneurs would really benefit from. And I think being on the side of J&J Innovation to help entrepreneurs to access and to enable that, I thought was something that resonated very strongly with me. Just in terms of my background, 25 years in life sciences, business development, and finance over the years, so something that I feel quite passionate about and have been focusing on for quite a while.
Thank you, Andrew, and it's always great working with you and also partnering with you. I want to come back to you as we now kind of discuss some of the key opportunities and challenges you've seen so far in your entrepreneurial journey. And as you think about your startup journey so far, what would you say have been your biggest learnings?
Thanks, Sharon. I think, as you mentioned in your presentation that, being a part of a startup, it's actually a very complicated journey. And, we are facing different types of challenges every day, from funding to program development, human resources, and etc. I think one of these learning that I have is that, as a member of a startup, we need to be able to learn very fast and apply the learning, the things that we learn in our everyday operation. I think I definitely benefit a lot from my education at HKUST. And also, I think JLabs has been a great resources for myself, because I actually learned a lot from some of the materials from JLabs, as well as from other entrepreneurs from JLabs, as I'm learning today also.
Thanks, Yu, and that's a really great insight. Learning is key. Learning fast, and I would also add failing fast is also just as important. And I'm sure other panelists and our audience members, both in person and online, can relate to this. Shooting, let's move back to you. Maybe you could also shed some light on your startup journey too. Where's been your biggest challenge in growing Acaderma, and how did you navigate the obstacles as a new founder?
So actually, yeah, so being an entrepreneur, there are lots of challenges. And actually, I agree with Yu about how to solve these problems. We have, as a founder, we have to learn fast, very fast, and make sure and find out the solution in a very short time. So when I was researchers, I only focus on R&D. However, when I established Acaderma, well, I have to learn everything, including financing. I have to have a look at audit report, and I have to read all the legal documents. Actually, I know each word, but I don't understand the whole sentence. So we have to learn everything, from licensing agreement to investors, subscription agreements, everything. So as a founder, if I don't have the financial capability to hire lots of expertise, I have to learn everything fast. So this is how I think, but I enjoy this journey because I learn a lot as well. Yeah, grow fast, and well, we always have new challenges. So always facing new challenges, and always trying to find out the best solutions.
Thanks, Shooting. And the life of an entrepreneur, we recognize, is not easy. But thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for making such an important impact. Andrew, through your role, you've spoken and worked with many startups, just as I have. So what are some of the key challenges and opportunities that you and Johnson & Johnson Innovation recognize for startups?
Thanks, Sharon. Yes, I think as everyone is hearing in person and online, building a startup company is very hard work. It also can be quite capital intensive. And I don't think COVID-19 made it any easier for entrepreneurs or startups either. So I think that when J&J Innovation comes into the fold, we're really trying to see how we can mesh our respective expertise together to nurture and grow these healthcare breakthroughs. And as we're meeting with respective entrepreneurs, that's really what we're trying to do, to find that nice match and see where we can work in a complementary manner to really grow these breakthroughs. While the pandemic has been a significant challenge, it also accelerated the future. And so in many ways, what we've seen is how we have to prepare and actually engage in more partnerships. So one of the things in terms of opportunities that JJI is doing is partnering more than ever in the Asia-Pacific region. And I'd like to just explain a couple of reasons why and sort of the trends that we see. Well, in Asia-Pacific, the country's R&D investment as a percent of GDP is very high, and we're seeing these government-led reforms to really invest in R&D, and that bodes well for innovation in each of these different countries. We're seeing a lot of returnees from the West coming to Asia-Pacific. I think in China alone in 2020, there were 800,000 returnees in the healthcare space that came back. Another statistic for Asia-Pacific that bodes well for the opportunity here, there are over 7 million STEM graduates each year that are being generated, and that's 10 times what the United States generates in terms of STEM graduates. The demographics that you're looking at here in Asia-Pacific, from the aging population to the rising income, increased chronic health conditions, these again are fostering the need for innovation as well as investment in healthcare. And so we really feel that we could make an impact here. I think all of you feel that there's an significant unmet need and why you're involved in these startups. And we want to engage and partner together with you to really address what we think are some significant unmet needs.
Thanks, Andrew. And indeed, nothing stops innovation. There will be obstacles, but there's also opportunities. And it's really great to see so many startups make it out the other side. Alex, let's move to you now. Insilico has made great strides in recent years. So what do you see as the biggest advantages in growing as a company in Asia Pacific?
We at some point in our development as a company, we realized that once we established our AI pipeline and platform and validated it, we realized that in order for us to truly control the end-to-end process of drug discovery, from target discovery to small molecule candidate, we have to establish our own pipeline. And we thought that the development in Asia Pacific region presents a tremendous opportunity for us to have an operation here and control those CRO arms. So where we would be viewed as brain with many CRO arms and operate on this tremendous infrastructure. So Andrew mentioned that the government has invested heavily in the R&D in China, and that truly shows the CRO industry has blossomed. And in 2019, we established our headquarters in Hong Kong, and then we followed with an opening of our office in Shanghai in JLabs. And we believe that this region truly is on track to become the powerhouse of innovation on global scale, given this very fruitful soil that has been established by the CRO industry. So we already see tremendous traction there.
Thanks, Alex. And we look forward to, thank you for your partnership. And I'm sure you're a role model to many of the other entrepreneurs in the region. Sloan, let's move back to you. I wonder if you could supplement this response here. And, what would you say are the biggest opportunities and challenges, in growing a company, specifically in Asia Pacific?
Sure. Thanks, Sharon. That's always a great question. I would say that I'm not exactly an expert on growing the company outside of Hong Kong, where we come from, but I can at least say that the main difference being in Hong Kong versus many other places is that the centrality of all of the government services and of the various types of support and such, it's all located in one place. If we were to set up our company in the States, for instance, where I'm from, the national level is so far away from any local location where you set up your company. So this means that at least as far as getting, say, government support and such, I think it is more challenging in places outside of Hong Kong or a similar ecosystem. On the flip side, the market in the larger countries is much bigger, which means also the capital market is larger. So I think for a smaller market like Hong Kong, it's always a challenge to find enough specialist investors who understand your particular niche industry who are there. So we do often have to go outside of our local ecosystem to find suitable investment. So it's a balancing act as far as seeing what kind of support is most important for your company at different stages.
Thanks, Sloan. And that's a great point. As you go through all the different milestones, you will have different needs. And it's a really interesting perspective, inside out and outside in. So thanks for sharing. This is now a really good turning point as we take a deeper dive into China's Greater Bay Area. But first, I do want to take a pause here to see if there are any audience questions. And again, anyone wishing to ask a question, just raise your hand and our support team will pass a microphone to you. If you're in line, please drop a question into the Q&A box. I'm watching on every screen and in every box as well. There will be other times during the call where I will also ask for questions from the audience as well. But let's, anyway, move ahead with a look at the Greater Bay Area then. Yu, coming to you first. How would you describe the life science ecosystem in China's Greater Bay Area based on your experience founding Pleyron here?
Well, I think the Greater Bay Area, a characteristic of the Greater Bay Area is that it grows really, really fast. I mean, when I first came to Shenzhen, I would say there is very little ecosystem. And, just by staying here for a few years, but you can see that, the ecosystem is growing very, very rapidly. The infrastructures, as well as the upstream and downstream potential partners, they're all growing very rapidly. And of course, with the great university that in the present in the region, of course in Hong Kong, and as well as there are a lot of Hong Kong universities and hospitals getting spin-off. If I use the word spin-off in the Greater Bay Area, like CUHK Shenzhen and HKUST Guangzhou, and there are lots of great talent. Just like Andrew said, coming from these great universities that could help the innovative startup company to develop their innovation, the products. So I think the Greater Bay Area is really very, very excited, and overall, my experience is very good. And I think with the presence in Greater Bay Area as well as the Pearl River Delta area in JLabs, it would be like a very, very helpful for a startup.
Thanks, Yu. Great perspectives and insights. Shooting, I think considering your experience also, what do you believe are kind of the big opportunities for healthcare innovators in the Greater Bay Area?
I think for the opportunities, I think it bridges the international and the China mainland market. So the market, especially for China mainland markets, market size is large. However, it also means it's a very high competitive market. How to differentiate yourself, how to compete with either international companies and also domestic local companies with lower cost. Yeah, you have to it's very challenging to stand out. So I say opportunities and the challenges, they are always there together.
Thanks, Shooting. Very, very useful and great advice. Sloan, how about you? What's your experience so far of the Greater Bay Area?
Yeah, I think that we've seen that, for instance, just like in JLabs is Shanghai-based in Asia, but we're still kind of welcomed in. That type of thing happens a lot for various organizations happening across the border. Obviously, the more whenever we post up job listings and such, we're often getting job applications not just from people who are, say, from the Greater Bay Area, but people who have moved there for their business. So whether they're internally within China or whether they're internationally. So it definitely increases the talent pool quite a lot. And lastly, I would say that for medical device companies, there is increasingly the option to do clinical studies and such in the region. So that is very helpful that we're not stuck on one little island, but we can use the entire region to help with that.
Thanks, Sloan. And great to hear about the talent, because that is essential, right, for every small company to grow and grow and grow. So thanks for sharing that point. Alex, let's move back to you. And like Lifespans, Insilico was first registered in the Hong Kong SAR So what was behind this decision, and how would you access the life science ecosystem in China's Greater Bay Area?
Yeah, Sharon, as I described earlier, we realized at the time that we needed to have our internal pipeline, therapeutic pipeline, which we needed to move forward, and having an office in Hong Kong presented a great opportunity for the company to operate on top of many CROs that can be found in the Greater Bay Area. We work with Guangzhou, CROs in Guangzhou, Shenzhen. In Hong Kong, in particular, we were based in Science Park. And in Hong Kong, there is a great pool of talent, a great statistic by Andrew, a number of STEM students being educated here. We were very impressed with the pool of talent, and talent, especially in some of the niche areas. For instance, very prospective area of robotics. I think we have so much talent in this space, and this is the very early days of robotics, especially in healthcare. At Insilico, we believe that this is one of the very prospective directions where the industry is going to truly automating some of the processes. So I think the talent component is also extremely important when it comes to Greater Bay Area. There's so many talented scientists here, and I think the pool will only grow from now.
Thanks, Alex. I always enjoy listening to your perspective. Very grateful, thank you. Andrew, as we now make the pivot to discuss the role of collaboration in driving innovation, I wonder if you could share some examples of collaboration that Johnson & Johnson Innovation has facilitated in the Great Bay Area.
Sure, Sharon. We have done a number of collaborations, investments in the Greater Bay Area. A number of them are actually earlier stage, which we have not publicly announced, so I can't go into specifics, but I would say that we've made a number of collaborations and investments in universities, such as HKU, CUHK, institutes, as well as entrepreneurs here in the region. And we do this on a very regular basis, both here in Hong Kong, but also in Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and we will continue to do so. Some of the more notable JJI collaborations that we have publicly announced in the Greater China area include our CAR-T, our BCMA CAR-T for multiple myeloma with Legend Bio, our third generation EGFR tyrosine kinase inhibitor for non-small cell lung cancer with South Korean company Yuhan. There are a number of platform deals that we've done in the Greater China area. One is with HitGen in using their DNA encoded libraries for small molecule hit generation. I think we publicly announced with Insilico Medicine as well here in Hong Kong for also some hit generation, target discovery. And finally, recently we publicly announced a deal with collaboration with a license and tech transfer with Wuxi Aptec's subsidiary Wuxi ATU in the area of AAV production technology, which will really enhance our gene therapy area outside of just rare disease, but also in broader indications.
Thanks, Andrew. And it's always great to be able to share examples of how our work has made a difference to the ecosystem. So with that, again, I'm going to take a pause here to see if there are any questions from the audience. I'm going to rely you on Andrew to tell me if someone puts their hand up in the audience. But anyone, please, if you do have a question, raise your hand and our support team will pass a microphone to you. Or just drop a question into the Q&A box.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions for our speakers here and also online? Please feel free to raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, over there.
We have a question on the floor, Sharon.
Fantastic. Please share your question. And also, if you do have a person that you would like to answer the question, please do shout out their name. Otherwise, we might have to go through all 5 of our panelists. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Adrian Lam, and I'm with Penty Pebble. And my question is, on the Greater Bay Area, it's not particularly targeted to anyone, but rather just seeing your views. Does working with the Greater Bay involve a new pathway or a new mode of innovation? Or does it actually, is there a place to carve it out and fit it into conventional innovation development as it is now? Do you see a new pathway, basically? Do we need to do things a little bit differently in the GBA, or does it fit into existing pathways? Thank you.
Well, I can go first. Well, in our experience as a company, having partners in this particular space, in drug discovery, Greater Bay Area, we see immediate transformation from what was actually expected from the baseline timelines in the industry. So we're able to see a greater efficiency in the work of CROs, contract research organizations, that delivered small molecules faster, screened them faster. So everything was just, tremendously accelerated, rapidly accelerated using local partners here. And we believe that currently this ground actually provided more innovation than before. I think only this year, the number of out-licensing deals out of China and the aggregate value exceeded the in-licensing deals. So we already see the innovation in China and in Greater Bay Area exceeding previous levels drastically, and this will only grow, in our opinion. So we believe that this space and this area holds great promise, and we will continue expanding as well as a company and partnering more, and invite everybody who is interested in drug discovery to collaborate with us.
All right, is there any more questions? Or is there any of our speaker would like to answer more?
I would just to add on to Alex's comments, I think being in the Greater Bay Area, you are bridging sort of east and west, particularly here in Hong Kong. I think there are ways for you to tap into both that foreign as well as domestic talent base. There are different initiatives being, depending on where you are in terms of your stage of development, whether it's from the commercialization aspect. I think you heard earlier from the undersecretary about access into mainland China, but also how you're able to bring in sort of the more innovative opportunities here into Hong Kong, but that access into, I think, greater area, that market access is accelerated through pilot programs here through Hong Kong, which also J&J is also leveraging. I think there are also ways that you can tap into foreign investment here in Hong Kong quite readily. And I think you have similar ways to incubate and also to fund here in Hong Kong, but also in the Greater Bay Area, mainland China side, that you might be able to take advantage of being based in this region.
All right, so is there more questions from the floor? Anybody? So I guess I will pass it back to Sharon then.
Thank you. And we do have one question I see in the chat box, and this is directed to Alex and Sloan. Do you find language is a barrier to lead a company in China or in the Greater Bay Area? So first, maybe we start with Sloan, please.
Sure. Thanks, Sharon. I definitely would say that there is always the possibility of that. What we have normally found is that, like for myself, I can speak some Putonghua, but it's not really up to snuff for closing deals. Generally speaking, I think with the emergence of the younger generation of graduates within mainland China, the English abilities there for like staffers to assist senior members of teams who might not be as comfortable in English is usually really superb. So I think it's a little bit unfair in a way to work that way, but you could say that the emergence of China as a player globally has meant that there's just been a huge number of talented people who do speak English who are on the staff. So usually I would say that, the language ends up playing more of a role in terms of feeling comfortable spending a lot of time in say mainland, wherever you are, whether it's Greater Bay Area or elsewhere. On the flip side, Hong Kong also, we are so spoiled for choice because it's very, very common to have trilingual staff. And I've often said Hong Kong is kind of a terrible place to learn Chinese in a way because you can revert to English so easily all the time. In a way, I feel a little wrong saying so, but it hasn't really been a huge issue actually for us. However, on the flip side, I think that the investment in language has obviously been good. Language training has always been worthwhile, but I wouldn't say it has been a stumbling block.
Thanks, Sloan. And Alex?
Well, I would echo Sloan's comment. So in our experience as well, maybe we were both fortunate that we didn't experience this particular hurdle with language barrier. So everybody in our team speaks English very well, and there are many returnees, as Andrews mentioned, and the region itself is region east and west, truly. So we do see some degree of fluent and smooth communication with CROs, which is facilitated by native speakers, but we haven't encountered any problems working in English on Chinese locally. That's been very comfortable for us as a company as we grow.
Thanks, Alex, and I appreciate the insights along with Sloan. And Alex, I think something that you mentioned in your previous answer was really about the importance of collaboration. So that's actually now what I want to pivot to and talk a little bit about, and as your journeys as innovators. Shooting, I wonder if you can talk to any specific collaborations that Acaderma has announced, and how have these collaborations come about?
I think our case is different maybe with many other incubation companies in J&J. So we're DTC, direct to consumers. So actually we are incubated by Sephora Accelerator Program, but also Sephora is our client because we also support technology and scientific, it's like advisory and consultancy to them. So so this is about our very limited business collaboration, but most of our time or our business model is like selling our products, skincare products directly to consumers.
Thanks, Shooting. Really exciting to hear your differentiation and your company's milestones and growth. For you, what does Pleyron look for when you collaborate? I mean, what kind of considerations do you think are important for a CEO of a startup as they consider a partnership?
Thanks, Sharon. I think the collaboration would be a very important part for Pleyron. The reason is that in Pleyron, we do not focus on a single therapeutic area. And there are a lot of things that we believe that our technology can have a potential to help to solve the unmet need. So in this sense, I think collaboration would be very important for us to broaden our product pipeline and to further increase our potential in the future. So as your question is about how should we choose a partner as a startup, I think one of the very important things is that we are hoping that the partner could understand the the difficulties in product development and and especially in a startup environment. I think that is very important because many of these new products, sometimes it can take a very long journey for it to reach a milestone. But on the other hand, sometimes it can be very fast and can be very, very rewarding. And I believe that more and more potential strategic partners understand this perspective, and we are looking forward to some very fruitful collaboration in the future.
Thanks, Yu. And, collaboration is really key also to innovation. And this is what, we're all about at Johnson & Johnson Innovation, which is about creating those networks needed to get an idea off the ground. I'm also keeping an eye on the time. So I'm going to move a little bit ahead and just move into, the value of incubation beyond, as well as, of course, still on the same subject as collaboration. So I'd like to move to Alex, starting with you. How has working with J&J helped accelerate your innovation?
Thanks, Sharon. So first of all, we're extremely grateful to J&J for hosting us at JLabs, both in New York and Shanghai. So we already graduated from JLabs New York. In Shanghai, we also expanded our site, but we still have the office in Shanghai and use some of the lab equipment there. So thanks a lot, Sharon. And overall, working with J&J, as Andrew mentioned, we also have drug discovery partnership, has been a tremendous pleasure because it is always on the cutting edge of science. So we truly advance in some of the key areas of drug discovery jointly. And drug discovery is very hard. So it's such a challenging undertaking that I think J&J understands more than most that only through collaboration we can truly get over this hurdle of drug discovery and advance some of the more challenging programs for some of the more challenging targets or therapeutic areas. So it has been a tremendous pleasure and honor working with J&J, and we're very grateful for their support over the years.
Thanks, Alex. And we're so pleased and lucky to have you as part of the JLabs family, both in North America and in Asia Pacific. Sloan, I wonder if you could tell us how has incubation also fit into your company strategy and what's been the benefits?
Sure. Thanks, Sharon. Well, I would say some of our favorite aspects of the incubation program has been meeting more people within J&J, as I think some of my colleagues have alluded to here. In particular, it can be difficult to find a way to arrange like a meeting between engineers within our company and engineers within J&J if there isn't some existing business relationship. And I think the JLabs relationship acts as a surrogate to that. So, whether or not there is a formal agreement to, say, complete work, we at least have a premise on which to operate. And I think that both parties feel safer interacting in this way. So we've, for instance, published research with J&J engineers before, and I think that's been a very mutually rewarding experience.
Thanks, Sloan, and great to hear that perspective. Unfortunately, that's all we really have time for today. But before we do close, I have one final question for each of our panelists to help advise the next generation of healthcare entrepreneurs. So using only 3 words, what do you consider as the key ingredients for a successful collaboration? Andrew, let's come to you first.
Thanks, Sharon. I think 3 words for potential successful collaboration, I think, is trust, complementarity, and shared vision.
Thank you, Andrew. Alex?
That's a good question. I would say innovation, collaboration, and also trust.
Xiuting, please.
I think it's never give up. Actually, last year, we almost spent the last cent in our bank account. However, we still solved this problem and successfully raised fund, and now we're launching Acaderma to have Nicos in Hong Kong. So there is always a hope, never give up.
Thank you. Sloan?
Well, I think that oftentimes you need both patience and impatience at the same time. So I'll say patience, impatience, and balance.
Thank you. And last but not least, you.
We can't hear you.
I think the three words would be understanding, trust, and share.
Thank you. Thank you, panelists. Those were great words. Trust, imbalance, patience, balance, sorry, impatience, collaboration, innovation, and shared vision, as well as partnerships. A huge, big thank you for sharing all your stories and insights today from your journey so far. This has been hugely valuable to all of us in the audience today. To our panelists, to my colleague Andrew, we wish everyone continued success, and we look forward to seeing your innovations take on the world.